friends. I'm going to read to you today Dragonfly's Tale. And this is not a real tail like some animals have at the back of their bodies, but the kind of tail that's a story. So this is a story about a dragonfly, and it comes from the Zuni tribe, which is a Native American tribe that lives out in the far west, where there's a lot of flatlands and hills, some low hills, and a lot of clay along with the soil in the earth. And this story is retold and illustrated by Christina Rodanis. Dragonfly's Tale. Many lifetimes ago, in the days of the ancient ones, there lived a tribe of people known as the Ashiwi. Their village was called Hawaku, and it sat on top of a hill. The houses were built side by side, one upon another, in the shape of a great honeycomb. Does it look like a bee's honeycomb to you? These homes are made with wood and clay from the earth, maybe a little wet soil too mixed in. Two powerful women, the maidens of the white and yellow corn, watched over the village. Each spring they sent warm winds to chase away the snow. In summer, they brought friendly rains to nourish the cornfields of Hawaku. The maize, the corn plants grew straight and strong with the maidens' blessings. And year after year, the people harvested more maize than they could eat. And the storerooms where they kept the corn and maize were overflowing. One day, after the last of the ripe corn had been gathered and stored away, a group of children had a mud fight. Their laughter echoed down the narrow streets as they playfully threw lumps of dirt and mud. The head chief of the tribe saw their game. Watching the children play, he thought of a plan to show off his people's wealth. He called a meeting of the elders to share his idea. The Ashiwi must celebrate their rich harvest with a mock battle. Mock means not real. It means fake. Our weapons will be made of bread and dough and batter. We'll invite our neighbors to take part. How will they envy our prosperity when they see us using food to play with? Yes, yes, agreed the elders. Let us begin, and they praised the cleverness of their leader. The elders ordered the people to prepare for the festivities. The swiftest runners were sent to summon the guests from surrounding villages. Excited, the people set to work chopping wood to fuel the ovens and grinding corn into meal. The cooking fires roared and crackled. The air was sweet with the smell of baking bread and boiling mush. On the day of the celebration, the corn maidens decided to go to Hawaku to see what all the commotion was about. Disguised as old, bedraggled women, they limped into town, and no one noticed the warm, misty wind that accompanied them. At the crowded village plaza, the corn maidens paused to look around. Everywhere they saw bowls and baskets filled with batter and dough. Mounds of cakes steamed in the windows. Stacks of bread covered the housetops. A boy and his little sister sat nearby munching corn cakes, drenched in honey. When they saw how ragged and hungry the two women looked, they held out their hands to offer them some food. But one of the elders quickly snatched it away. Good food should not be wasted on beggars, he scolded. These women are too lazy to grow their own corn. They are like hungry coyotes looking for an easy meal. Suddenly, the plaza grew silent as the chief began to divide the people into teams. Then, with a nod of his head, the great battle began. Everyone laughed as they ducked flying bread and flying biscuits. One team hurled balls of dough while the other threw gobs of butter. The invited neighbors stared in bewilderment as their hosts smeared each other with precious food. That does seem confusing. The corn maidens watched the fight with heavy hearts. They had blessed the Oishi with an abundance of food, but the people were throwing away these gifts. It's time to teach this village a lesson, said one maiden to the other. Then, like wind-blown smoke, poof, they vanished. When the games ended, the guests went home in disgust. While the moon rose over the town, the seed eaters scampered into the plaza. Silently, armies of mice and gophers and birds and bugs carried away every crumb of food. Then they tunneled into the storerooms and stole the corn. They worked all through the night, for the corn maidens had warned them that a great famine was soon to come to the village of Hawaka. A famine means there's no food to be found. The people could hardly believe their eyes the next morning. All the wasted food that had covered the village streets had disappeared. The storerooms were half empty. Who cares? They said to one another. We have more than enough food to last through the winter until our next great harvest. Winter came, but was slow to pass. Warm winds arrived late, and the rains never fell to moisten the soil. The elders sang their most sacred chants and danced their most powerful rituals. But the corn maidens refused to send their blessings. The corn plants grew weak and withered in the hot, cracked earth. They can't grow if they don't get everything they need, like water. Their storerooms bare, the people ate cactus and ground bones. Autumn arrived, then winter, and the famine deepened. The snows came and were heavier than anyone could recall. What was to be done? The chief called together a council. He gathered a group of people. Do you think we have to go to our neighbors for help? We must. If we delay, we will be hungry forever. We must leave for their village tonight. So the people rushed to collect their warmest robes and blankets. They hurried from their homes and scrambled into the icy darkness. Ooh, looks cold. In one house, a boy and his little sister were forgotten. No one had noticed them sleeping beside the hearth. When the boy woke up, he climbed the ladder to the sky hole and gazed all around. The village was empty. Although he was frightened, he knew he would need to comfort his sister. Perhaps he could make a beautiful toy, something to remind her of happier times. I know, he whispered. I'll make her a butterfly. While the little girl slept, the boy set to work. He carved the butterfly's body from the core of a dry cornstalk and made its legs from straw. Carefully, he cut the wings out of a brittle corn leaf. The leaf was narrow, so he had to make long, slender wings. Then he painted the insect with bright colors. The thin pigment spread out, making the eyes very large and forming a delicate pattern of lines in the corn leaf wings. The boy admired his creation. Although it did not look exactly like a butterfly, it was certainly a strange little creature. What do you think it looks like? When she heard that they were alone in the village, the little girl began to cry. But the cornstalk creature helped her forget her sadness. All day she played with the beautiful toy, which twirled round and round at the end of a long string. That night, just before sleep, the child said to the creature, "Please fly away and find us some food to eat." For a moment, it seemed the brittle wings fluttered as if the toy had heard her request. Later, while his sister slept, the boy heard a soft buzzing sound. "Flee-nee-nee," it said, "let me go." Looking up, he saw his butterfly spinning in the moonlight. Its wings were beating wildly. He reached out to calm the strange creature and then carefully untied it. "Flee-nee-nee," hummed the insect, darting around the room. Like a twang with a bowstring, it shot straight up through the sky hole and soared into the night. The creature flew south to the land of everlasting summer, where the corn maidens lived. When he neared their home, he was tired from his long journey. For an instant, he rested upon the silken tassel of a corn plant. This part of the plant, do you remember? That's called the tassel. Then he flew to another one and another. And in this way, he finally came to where the corn maidens were. The creature found the two spirits strolling through the green fields. He told them all about the boy and his sister. "Oh, we will gladly help the two little ones," said the maiden of the yellow corn. "There once was a time when they offered us food. We have not forgotten their kindness." Then the maidens summoned their messengers and directed them to deliver food to the children. The creature thanked the corn maidens and happily hummed his way back to Hawaka. When the children woke up, the house was filled with baskets of beans and squash. A mound of corn reached to the ceiling. The boy and his sister danced for joy. But where was the cornstalk creature? The little girl found him, though, in a dark corner, perched on a painted jar. He sat very still, as though he knew nothing at all about the mysterious food delivery. Brother and sister had plenty to eat in the days that followed, and as time passed, winter passed. A warm wind blew in from the south and melted the snow away. One morning, the children went out to plant corn. The boy sprinkled a handful of cornmeal onto the ground and thanked the corn maidens for their blessings. And then he poked deep holes in the dirt and dropped in the corn seed. The little girl covered the kernels with earth. That night, a misty rain fell over Hawaka. By morning, the children were surprised to see that tiny corn plants had shot through the soil. Long wavy leaves appeared the next day, and on the third morning, silver tassels sprouted with heavy ears of white and yellow corn. Happily, brother and sister picked the ripest ears. They dug a pit and roasted them. Filled with the fresh corn, they fell asleep. And as the children slept, the Awishi returned to Hawaka. Humbled by that great famine, they had come to replant their fields, hoping for an ample harvest. When they saw the ripening corn, the people were astonished. "We have been blessed by the corn maidens," they said to one another. One of the elders had noticed the brother and sister sleeping at the edge of the cornfield. The little girl was holding a wonderful toy, an insect made out of a cornstalk. "These two children are the ones who have been blessed," he declared. The chief stepped forward. "Let us honor the corn maidens and let us learn from these children who have received their gifts," he said. "Then perhaps we too may share in the blessing." From then on, the people were careful not to take the corn maidens' gifts for granted. They respected the boy and the sister, and they learned the ways of kindness. The cornfields thrived. They grew lots of corn, and then all of the Awishi people prospered. And what became of the cornstalk creature? To this day, in early summer, when the corn is beginning to bloom, he appears. Never content with his resting place, he hums from one corn tassel to the next. What do you think he's known to be? The dragonfly. And that's the story of the dragonfly's tale. I hope you liked it.